What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is episode 28 of ProChat, and we are joined from across the world. Australia, Denmark, Landon, where are you?
Coventry.
Coventry. Ross is Ross is in Swindon.
Yeah.
Swindon. Boys, what's going on? Landon's just turned pro. Emil's just got back from America. Ross
Yeah.
just had a break. Ross just had a breakdown.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I'm not even clapping because I'm congratulating. This is the fucking ticket. It's all the stress.
Yeah, Ross. For
Uh,
anyone who's watching, Ross is actually wearing a straight jacket. That's what the white
Yeah,
top
yeah, yeah, yeah.
is.
I'm just completely naked from the top down. Yeah. Putting my shoes on backwards and everything is a bad fucking.
it's been an experience. Landon, you still on cloud nine, mate?
Yeah, slowly coming down as the week's going on and kind of getting back to usual routine. But yeah, still up there, mate. Still up there.
Congrats, man. Congrats.
So you can't wait to whip that PCA Pro card off the wall, can you?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You know what? I have to sit like this now. I can't even like swing around. I have to sit like this on all my calls. Whereas before on all my calls, I was there like, yeah. So basically,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
have you seen? So now I need to be like this and just make sure
Yeah,
I you can't be seen. I didn't
I,
realize
I
you
like
literally
that
can't.
you've completed both. Like having both on the wall. 'Cause it's like, yeah, I've been there and done it, mate. I've got both.
Yeah.
I can tick both off.
It's
Very cool.
progression.
Exactly. It was you and that class A looked quite busy as well. 4 or 5 guys, wasn't it, in the first class?
Class A was stacked, mate. Like it was, well, not stacked, but like the quality of it was stacked. Like
Yeah.
any one of them, any one of us could have gone onto an overall and done well in an overall.
Yeah.
It was a very, very. We were all backstage, kind of pumping up, all lining up, and Zach went, "You in Class A? You in Class A?"
There's
To the
quite a few of them.
to the other two that we didn't know, because obviously it was me and Fildo as well. He's like,
Yeah.
"So you Class A?" And they were like, "Yeah," and he was there like, "Fucking hell, this is a wicked lineup." And I was there
Yeah.
like, yeah. I was like, "Great." I was more worried about getting through the height class than I was the overall.
Yeah.
When I got to the overall and I turned around and I like, no offense to obviously everybody that was in the overall or anything, like it was great. Obviously all class winners, so they were all good. But I looked and I
Mm,
thought, yeah, I've got this now. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But
Yeah.
when I was
Was
when I was lining up for that class A, I thought, I've got to get through this now.
Yeah, for sure. Was Pollard in the overall as well in the tall
Yeah,
class? He was, yeah.
yeah, it was me and Pollard top two. So it
How
split
tall is he? I've seen pictures of him. He looks
He's
like a
really
real
he's
big
really
boy.
tall.
seven
Yeah.
foot 12 or something. He looked about 7'12" next to me, mate.
He's at least
Is he the
Yeah, but so does Ross, to be fair.
yeah, long
So
hair.
What
Yeah.
about hold on? What are you bringing me into this for?
He must be 6'5". He's taller than me for sure.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, massive, mate. And they put us next to each other, split centre. It was a bit David and Goliath. It was a bit mental.
Yeah.
Well, it was David and Goliath until you turned around. Until you turned around, and then it
Yeah.
was very.
Oh, as in like back size, you mean?
I got the last round of comparisons, last round or two of comparisons just before Landon got called. And you like unbelievably good overall. Like just like it's the do you know when you see an overall where everyone is the chalk and cheese, but still they are fitting of that class. Do you know what I meant?
Mm,
You could have like the tall men's physique guy, the short, stocky men's physique guy, like Landon is. Then you kind of have the periods in between. You have the big, bubbly Filipino guy in terms of what's your man's name, Fildo.
Yeah.
yeah.
There was another fella there I couldn't remember. It was a real nice contrast of like the different types of men's physique that you can see, and they went for the one that I think was the best, and that was you, Landon, 100%.
Yeah.
Cheers, thank you, man.
Nice. What's the plan now?
Year off, fill the cap, and then
And you've got a lot of cap, haven't you?
about £8-9.
Okay, nice.
£8-9. So nice steady year really. Won't have to really massively push with the fact that it's going to be like 18 months off. So can
Yeah.
just take a nice steady approach and just put on the quality tissue rather than this is kind of going to be the first time I'm taking some time off where it's not coming out of it and going, okay, I need to I need to put as much size on as possible here in this off season.
Yeah,
Going
yeah.
into next year, this is just all about quality now. And that's reflective of obviously the feedback that I got off stage from Tarek. He came
Mm,
up to me and he was there like, don't go into this don't do what every amateur does and goes into off season thinking they need to put the size on. You've got the size. He says all you need to do is bring up the detail in the back, and you'll move up the pro ranks quickly.
Yeah, nice.
So that was
Good
that was
feedback to have as well.
that
Like
was nice. And like I look at the photo, obviously on the NPC website now, all the photos are up, and I look at the photos of of the pro show, and yeah, like I've always thought like I'd need more size to get to the pros, but I weren't. I was right in there. I was
Yeah.
right in there. And that was me obviously very faded as well because I'd already been on stage for an hour and then another half an hour. And even Zach said to me, he was there like, mate, if you hadn't done the amateurs before, you would have been right in the mix for that first call out.
Yeah. Exciting, man.
Which is really positive, obviously, for my mindset going into this, as I say, going into this year off, and just a big focus on obviously getting coaching up to the level that I want to get coaching up to, as well as obviously just progressing into that weight cap, and obviously refining everything in terms of the physique now.
Sweet.
You've gained yourself unbelievable coaching leverage now as well. Like, being a pro and being a coach will give you one of two things: the confidence that the person does know what they're doing, or the confidence that they know fuck all of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. There's very rarely anywhere in between. You know, and you just put the head down, man. You know, the kind of way you documented the whole thing. You know, the kind of way I think giving people that insight into your ability to do the thing, you know, and to do it at a level where most people can't get it to. I think that's going to be massive for your ability to push everything forward. So unreal, mate. Really, really proud of you. We all are. We're all dead proud of you.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you, lads.
Nailed it, man. So the 3 donuts that you had at Pro 12 really did work, then, didn't
they? Yeah.
We had like a box like 25 donuts in front of us that like 3 people took. And Landon was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to take about 7 back to the missus. And he was like, do you reckon I could fit this into my front load? And I was like,
There's still 3 of them in the freezer.
In the freezer, yeah.
Still 3 of them in the freezer. I've had one thingy. The missus has had 2 of them now. So
yeah, nice. Well done, mate. Well done.
Yeah,
We're gonna. I think there's a video going up on Sunday. I think this weekend.
Yeah.
The show day video. I'll get that out this weekend.
Yeah, I sat down, started editing that this morning, so that'll be ready to go on Sunday.
Sweet, man.
You know what? There's a couple of cool bits in it as well as I was going through, like on the registration day, and I'm there like, hopefully next time when you see me tomorrow, I'll be stood on this stage like this.
Yeah, sick.
And then literally it clips to literally all like the stage stuff and me holding the card and that, and I'm like, yeah,
that's cool. Very cool.
Manifested that.
Yeah,
it's like your picture the day after. I woke up and it's actually happened.
Yeah,
like it's actually real. Yeah.
Crazy, man. It's 7 years. 7 years. 7 years ago, I done my first pro qualifier, the first ever 2 bro show in 2018, where Wesley Vizers won his classic pro card and Mike Summerfield won his pro card in open bodybuilding.
Yeah.
At that show.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And that was the first, mine and Zach's first show, and my first ever pro qualifier, and been working at it since then, and it's finally paid off, man. Like 7 years later, people don't stick at it for 7 years, do they?
No.
When did you win your PCA pro card?
PCA pro card was 2022. Okay. 3 years ago, and then I've done five pro qualifiers. That was my 5th pro qualifier.
Yeah.
Since then.
Sick.
So I just kept banging the door every year, sticking at
persistence,
making the improvements, persistence. Like I knew what I wanted, and just made it happen.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Very cool. Very cool. Emil, how was your trip to the States?
It was good. There was the weather was nice. I come home to Denmark and it's raining all day. I had like 12 days straight of nice weather. We spent the first week or so in Florida, and then we headed out to Austin, where my friends are from.
Austin, nice. Yeah.
So it's some friends that, his grandma is from Denmark, and as a kid, he used to go to Denmark all the time. When he was younger, he had a Danish girlfriend who I went to school with, and since we were both into bodybuilding, we kind of got to talk then. So I've known him for 10 years, but back then he stayed in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And now his family is all scattered. So some are in New Jersey still, some are in Florida, some are in Texas. But every year we just meet up in Florida. and we rent a house by the beach, and we chill for a week, and then I went back to Texas with him for a few days, played some golf, had some nice food, and then headed back. I'm glad I managed the jet lag this year because obviously I haven't had my daughter while I was away.
Yeah.
So when I come back, it's straight into solo parenting.
Yeah.
And last year I had the worst jet lag while doing that. It was terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But I nailed it this time. I had to like stay up for the last few days in Texas. So like I went to bed at 3 a.m., then 5 a.m. The last day I went to bed at 6 a.m. to try and push the hours.
Oh, you adjusted when you're out there.
Yeah.
Smart.
Because I remember last year and I was like, I'm not doing that again.
It's the American adjustment is savage to get back into swing of things.
Traveling east is the bad thing.
Yeah, because it's
How
a
long was the flight, Emil?
longer distance.
How far is it back to Denmark from Texas?
It was I had two connecting flights. So I went from Austin to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta to Amsterdam, and then from Amsterdam to Copenhagen. There's really, since COVID, there's not really many like long flights directly out of Copenhagen. I don't think we had to like Houston and stuff before COVID, but I know we had to New York. There are a few still, but they're quite expensive usually.
Yeah.
But I don't mind traveling. Like I think the whole trip is like 16 to 18 hours to Austin, depending on the layover and the connecting flights. But I don't think it's too bad, honestly. Like you read a book, you take a nap, you watch a movie, and like, it's just chill.
Yeah.
At least you got a TV screen. You can do something. You're not just like sitting there. Just
actually, I don't really watch many movies on planes. It's like you've always seen whatever.
Raw dogging the whole trip just.
So
one thing I typically do is like I clean up my camera roll on my phone.
Everyone does that. There's like screenshots of a recipe from like 2017. You're like, what the fuck? I'm not gonna make this orzo tagine. So I was doing it the other day. I found fucking mad stuff at the top of my camera roll. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Screenshots of like I found like screenshots of Flex Lewis and like pictures of, like Luke Sando and like text over it going, "I'm coming," you know. I was like, when did I put this on my phone?
We're out in Pensacola, which is like the very west part of Florida. It's not it's not by Miami and all that on the tap.
It's supposed to be
right next to the southern states. And that weekend that I come every year, there's the show of the Navy. The Navy does a show.
Right.
They have this little group of planes called Blue Angels, and they do a big show. They break the sound barrier. They do that. So the whole city is just packed with people that weekend. We went out 3 nights in a row, and I don't know how people do that. Like we went out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and come Sunday, I was fucked. Like I was like, how people do this. This place we went to every night, that for that specific weekend, they do this drink called diesel fuel. And it's like 4 different liquors, and it's massive, and it costs like $5. It's so cheap. We had so many of them every night. Like I'm done. I'm done.
It's good to put you in a hole. That
they love names like that, don't they? You know,
diesel fuel.
Yeah. You'll buy a fucking screwdriver.
Yeah. Bushwhacker.
When you only go through the Redcon range and you read through their names, and it's the most American names people ever find.
All military style.
Yeah, waterboard. You know.
I'm gonna waterboard the shit out of this physique. Shut the fuck up.
You don't see Redcon much anymore, do you?
Well, didn't I don't know how publicly I could say things.
Singerman.
I don't know how important I am. But didn't he just slowly start kind of like behaving not very elegantly?
I think he's come out the other side now, and he's like back on.
Yeah. And I know didn't whatever they're called, Redcon, have a collection to. There's another lab. Was it Black Labs or something?
Oh, Blackstone Labs. Yeah.
They were found to be acting the bollocks, wasn't it?
Well, I think they did a product. Blackstone Labs did a product that had an ingredient in that got flagged, and I think then everything just went crazy from there. It was like they put like a psalm or something in one of the. It might have been like I don't know what it was, but I can remember something being
Like
flagged.
something, like an LGD or something they put into
It's
it.
like a banned substance in like a random product as like a performance enhancer, and it was found in one of the products. I think I can't remember.
Well, Redcon had like ready to drink stuff at the gas stations.
RTDs, yeah. I think they're quite big, like mainstream fitness. They're still really, really big, but there's probably less so in like bodybuilding realms, I guess.
They're making more money than they ever have in the
The
mainstream.
big one now is Revive, and they've signed Keon, they've
Raw
signed
nutrition.
Rough, they've signed, they've got Sebum, obviously they've got mad
Revive is that fella. What's his name? The guy who owns Revive.
Dom.
Right? Yeah, he's a really interesting guy, man. Super.
Yeah.
He has some really good podcasts, and he talks about like his business development and the way he thinks about business. And I went on thinking I'm going to go listen to Sebum lisp me and motivate me, But then
Yeah, he's super smart.
he's a super smart guy.
I think he's got a lot of wealth from other industries, other businesses. So I guess he's like super switched on with everything else as well.
He made a bomb in as well.
Right, let's do some questions. This is quite a good one for Landon, actually, because I know you did use some peptides in this last prep. Your thoughts on using L-Carnitine, SLU, Mot-C, and Retatrutide in contest prep? He said with test and primo, but I guess that's a little bit redundant in the second side. We'll talk about Retatrutide in a minute, but you'd use some peptides in the last prep, right?
Yeah, so I used L-Carnitine, SLU, Mot-C, Methylene Blue. I found that once I'd added them in, that I did have quite a noticeable improvement of energy, particularly the Mot-C and the Methylene Blue. I added them in a little bit later into the prep when I started to get when energy levels started to drop, and I've done a little bit of research on like this all come from obviously Dr. Dean with the mitochondrial health and so forth. So done a bit of research on that, and obviously I asked you the questions on it as well, didn't I, Cal?
I remember, yeah.
For a little bit of kind of your insight onto it as well. And yeah, well, I was doing L-Carnitine and SLU right from the get-go,
Yeah.
in terms of the fat loss agents. So that was obviously that helped a lot right from the get-go. But then adding in the Mot-C and the Methylene Blue really, I did really find it give me a good pickup of focus, good pickup of energy as well. It took probably, I'd say, a week of taking before I actually noticed that like a lot more energy production, a lot more kind of being able to manage the coaching side of things with the work and the coaching side of things as well as doing the prep rather than kind of it was getting to a point where I was sitting there and it was like, fuck, got all these check-ins to do. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
I can't say it didn't become an effort to try and keep up with the work side of things as well as obviously the prep. But once I added that in, it did seem to help a lot more and become a little bit more smoother, a little bit more effortless to actually have that sustained energy through the day to get everything done.
Yeah.
Even on like 3-4 hours sleep that I was doing.
Well, you were getting up at what? You were getting up like 2 a.m. or something, 2 or
Yeah,
3 a.m.
3 a.m. Yeah.
How did you dose your methylene blue?
Hmm?
How did you dose methylene blue?
5 to 10 milligrams per day. Had it in the oral kind of solution, the drops. So I was doing 5 to 10 milligram of that, and then I was doing 1 milligram of Mot-C on training days, so 5 times a week.
Yeah, you got to be mindful of overdosing the Mot-C to not get like that allergic response. But that's a relatively low methylene blue dose as far as. So I think I was running 20 when I was doing it.
Yeah.
The longer you do it, the more you're gonna have to taper it. As far as I know, methylene blue is going to be subject to sensitization. Like you're gonna build a tolerance to it. It's not like like some drugs like clenbuterol or like other drugs like that where you do build a tolerance to those. But like other drugs like metabolic drugs and stuff like that, you're not going to build so much of a hormone to or so much of a tolerance to. Things like methylene blue, you're going to have to increase it to get more out of it. As far as I know, it's not so. Peptides are like a whole new thing, and I'm kind of glad because I've been banging the drum of the PD side of things, and kind of moving into the peptide side makes it a little bit more of a a new avenue to look into. The Mot-C is really, really interesting. Is really interesting.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think there's fat like fat oxidation.
So AMPK, instant sensitivity, it's an exercise mimetic. I don't think it necessarily drives fat loss. I think it minimizes fat accumulation. That's
Yeah.
all I've ever seen written on it. So the mechanism behind it, I'm not 100% sure of. And then you've got other things to it. Like, do you ever hear like brown and white fat?
Yeah.
There's potentially things there, but I think when you get the deeper you get into the functions of anything, the harder it is to prove. That kind of way. But from an energy regulation perspective, it seems to have a pretty decent basis of it. I think that's from AMPK.
The argument I'd make with that stuff is, say for example, like conventional prep fat loss tools, and you look at like people probably relying heavily on thyroid too early, maybe unnecessarily. People like ramping up aggressively with like direct lipolytics like clenbuterol. Like the trade-off that you're gonna have with those other tools. The interesting thing I'd see with peptides is, and that kind of bracket of tool, like anyone that I've used it with, it seems like the notion of like smooth and linear fat loss through a contest prep is a little bit more of a predictable thing week to week. And I don't feel as though you have to rely on the other tools maybe as much as other preps or maybe you had done in the past. And by means of that, I think overall stress load on the body, overall impact on like sleep quality, etc., overall impact on adrenal function at the end of prep, I think might be a more tolerable thing. And
Yeah,
even
so
like the
I was going to say, I will add to that, just off the back of that, that this is the lowest I've ran lipolytics during a prep.
that's what I mean, yeah.
We only
Yeah,
done.
I've had the exact same thing across the entirety of the prep, across the entirety of all preps of people running SLU.
Yeah,
Mm,
we only done replacement dosage of thyroid 25 and 100, and then I only got up to 80 micrograms of clan.
yeah. And I
Oh, we
think
didn't
that
even use Glenn.
I know. Well, yeah, I've got like some people in prep now, like it's like 40 micrograms, and I'm sitting there like, do I need to increase it? I don't think I do. Like I'm going to sit here and just let it happen. And even with a meals prep, like you didn't use any clan at all. And I know in the previous preps, like we've been up to like 120 micrograms, right? So
Yeah,
it's
same with me.
yeah, it's that's the interesting part. The other thing with that retatrutide is I don't like the impact on fat appetite regulation from an adherence standpoint potentially is useful in prep, but I think more so from who I've used it with in this year's comp prep season, particularly that Eric Janicki that I used it with for his pro card. It was the ability to maintain sleep, like undisturbed sleep through the whole prep by not having to wake up constantly and feel irritated at night from hunger being through the roof. And
Yeah.
like that is a game changer for him. Like in previous preps, mate, we've had like he might get 3 or 4 hours of sleep and it's broken and he's just fried by the end of prep and his fatigue becomes harder, training suffers. This prep, we were getting like 7 to 8 hours of undisturbed sleep just because I'm I think that Rhett just had the ability. If he goes to bed and he's like fully satiated and he's not hungry, he'll sleep through. Whereas in previous preps, it's been such a big thing that we've suffered on. That's been like the biggest thing that I've noticed there in terms of the bigger benefit in prep scenarios.
Retatrutide is the most interesting of the GLP ones. Like 100% is the most interesting. There's a word that they give it that makes it is it triple incretin or something like that. I think it basically means it works off 3 different pathways.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah, so it's like the opposite. It's like the appetite suppressant from the obviously like Ozempic first initially started out at, because that's kind of Ozempic was just literally just appetite suppressant, wasn't it? Then you had Mounjaro, tirzepatide, or whatever it is. That was for like insulin sensitivity and blood glucose control and everything as well, wasn't it? And then this one it's got the other pathway where it's literally kind of like blocks the absorption of fat as well, doesn't it?
GLP-1, GIP, and then glucagon receptors.
Yeah, glucagon receptor. Yeah,
GLP and there's GIP, but I'm
yeah,
confusing.
Yeah.
That's
Because
it. Interesting. It's dead interesting. I'm actually thinking about using Retatrutide on myself.
yeah.
Do like a milligram a week and just seeing how it goes.
But
Just
the
I don't eat properly anyway half the time.
yeah.
Not even that. It's not even like, well, I'm not doing it anyway, so I may as well lose fat in the process. Like, well, if I use something like that, I already want to pull back on my body weight anyway. One of the issues that I'm having is I'm just not consistent enough, or my work is so heavy that I'm not consistent enough with my meals. So yeah, I'm not eating a massive amount of food, but I'm eating a very inconsistent amount of food.
Yeah.
These ways to pop in something like Retatrutide, regulate my appetite. I could do 3 or 4 meals a day of just like, pro fats, maybe a little bit of carb stores training, and just keep it nice and simple. Because that'd be the ideal.
It's good to have that first-hand experience as well as
Yeah,
a coach.
and yeah, I'm always a little bit reluctant to push
That's
for.
Push something that you don't know.
There you go.
Yeah, 100%.
The GIP, GLP, and GCT.
Yeah.
GCT is just glucagon.
But I've also seen the Reta used in off-season scenarios as well now.
That's one I don't understand as much. Like, why are you trying to regulate your appetite in the off season?
But is it more so understanding of it then creates an environment where fat accumulation post-show
Yeah, is mitigated. Yeah, in the
is mitigated?
post-show window, I could definitely understand it.
Yeah, I think post-show window and then that last kind of period of prep
Yeah.
and the post-show window is probably the best times to introduce Retatrutide.
Yeah.
Somebody was looking for like an actual example of where you could but because the problem with GLP-1 agonists, right, and the problem with them predominantly is people's opinion of them. That's the biggest thing of them, because they're now so associated with, like, mainstream medical weight control.
Yeah.
And then obviously as Ozempic became less popular, and it did, because I lost a few quid. I invested into the company that started Ozempic.
Did you?
Yeah. I put a few quid in it, and then their value
When was that?
as soon as Retatrutide came out, I went straight back down. So I got it just as the Ozempic was coming through, and then it went up a little bit. I was like, oh sweet, okay. I didn't put that much into it. Because you've got Novo Nordisk. They're the people who made Ozempic. They're Belgian.
No, it's Danish, bro.
Yeah, is it Danish? Danish, excuse me. It is Danish. It's Danish. And then you have Eli Lilly. They're the people who've made the likes of the new one, like Mounjaro, and the one that's real mainstream now. And then you can try and find people who make. But the problem with Retatrutide is because it's not FDA approved yet, and it's not medically approved yet, and it's not on that kind of. And this is again, if anyone's into investing, which I'm only very freshly into investing, so like don't take it as a mega advice. But one of the reasons that they're probably starting to shut down all the peptide companies is because they're trying to regulate peptides into the normal medical market.
Wow.
So if you can then find out, so for example, let's say they take all the companies away that are making Retatrutide, and then you find out which normal commercial lab is making these drugs. If you ever want to try and put in a small amount of investment funds, put them into that company just as they get to phase 3 trials, and then you should see the value go up. So that kind of thing, but that's pushing it away. But the thing with the peptide side of things is people's general social opinion of it. And the thing that Retatrutide does is it can actually promote muscle accrual and muscle retention, which officially makes it cool. So it's like, that's why I think people are more likely to use them. And peptides, because they're not necessarily they're not flooded with human trials, people get a little bit up in arms about it. But bodybuilding's been done on the basis of do it and see what happens since
Trial and error.
Yeah.
What about its effects on resting heart rate, though? There's plenty studies that shows that the GLP-1s increase resting heart rate by 10 to 25%.
It's true, but at the same time, there's also studies that show that clenbuterol increases resting heart rate by 35 to 45%, and that still got passed. They've got studies of children using like 700 micrograms of clen. Like there's kids using outrageous amount, because clenbuterol studies were not centered around fat loss, just like Retatrutide studies, GLP studies. They're only really centered around obesity and managing kind of health orientated weight loss aspects. You don't have a fucking room full of Olympia level bodybuilders and they're like, all right, guys, I am Dr. fucking fat loss, and we're all going to use Ozempic for 12 weeks and you're all going to get shredded. It's that lack of applicability, that kind of way. I always think the heart rate things, and anything that's like orientated around heart rate in research is worth taking, not so much with a pinch of salt, because an elevated heart rate is an elevated heart rate. You have to understand how long it's been sustained for, obviously the mechanistic actions behind it. And then it's like, okay, if I'm using Retatrutide, but I'm using less clenbuterol, and I'm weighing up the idea of these elevated heart rate things, am I really, it's like, do I want to do it with this, or do I want to do it with this? It's a similar argument to like the use an AI versus use a high dose of DHT. You're just arguing which one of those things is going to cause dyslipidemia. the kind of way like you're asking yourself which one of those are you going to accept that for. And then the other thing is obviously what that actually favors into your point, Emil, is that the reality is that there's not actually that much research into specific GLPs.
Oh, it's a relatively new drug.
It's a super new drug.
There's like enough to get it off the ground and sell it, but it's like what's happening over the next 10 to 15 years.
Definitely enough research. Like Ozempic was manufactured, and like I'm pretty sure its phase 1 trials were like back in like 2017. Like, it was a long time ago, and that's how long these things take. And like the likes of like Retatrutide, it's probably some version of Retatrutide is probably already in some clinical trial. A lot of these drugs are already in clinical trials. You can look it up. There's databases of clinical trials and stuff like that, of what's happening and what's coming out and stuff like that.
It's 5 years. It's 5 years, ain't it? 5 years before they go through all the clinical trials.
Depends how successful the trials are and when they fail. So
Yeah.
the later a trial fails in its release date, the longer it's likely going to take to pass that release date that they expect it to. If you've got a drug that fails in phase 1 trials, phase 2 trials, the level of development that they've had towards that drug hasn't been as much, so they can track back a little bit less. But when you're getting to phase 3, 9 times in phase 3, they're actually using it with real patients in a clinical scenario. So if you're now seeing it go west with real people, they have to track all the way back usually to phase 1.
Right.
So it's an interesting dynamic. I don't know all that much about it. I could be totally wrong here, but at the same time, I do know that phasic approach to drug release is long, but it's always keep an eye on. And I'd eat my hat if in the next 2 years all the peptides that we talk about now, or at least the majority of them, are deregulated and put onto the market.
Yeah, because I went to see Dominic before I left on the last trip, and he mentioned the fact that there's a lot of US based big peptide manufacturers that were being basically just pushed into a position where they couldn't produce anymore, just because the regulation was becoming so strict across the board, even with things that 6 months ago you would have been absolutely fine. So you can definitely see that starting to shift there, because when there's money to be made, then the bigger companies will be like, well, we want that instead of you, so let's regulate this.
There's money to be made, and they work.
And they work.
And they clearly, and this is the thing, like people are like, we don't know if peptides work or not. But you've got the most powerful medical group in the world, the FDA, stopping people making them. These things fucking definitely work.
Yeah.
They work. They're not going to fucking stop. Like, people aren't going to get creatine, and they're going to like, even they're putting stuff on creatine down. There's so much crazy stuff coming out about how valuable creatine is. Stuff that the likes of Poliquin talked about fucking 15 years ago. Stuff that JP's been talking about for years, about that kind of neuroprotective aspect of it and its development and its prevalence against protecting from Alzheimer's. You've got all these really fucking cool things that we've all kind of understood for a long time. And you'll often see that, like a lot of the time, the fitness space, where you have a group of people, especially in bodybuilding, who are more willing to experiment and open their bodies up to do whatever they could, to do whatever they want. They kind of become these unofficial starting trials for these drugs.
Yeah. 100%. So well, look at like professional sport and the banning of like BPC, TB500, etc. Like look at the UFC and like banning all the peptides. Like, why are they being banned? If they don't work, why would they be banned? Right. This is a really good question, and it's a shame that Zach isn't on the call as well. When starting out coaching competitors, try and attend all shows? Or only when they pay?
It's a fucking great question.
What a fucking question, Tom. Tom, your body coach. I saw him in Dubai 2 weeks ago. He's fucking peeled out his brains.
The most pro coach question I've ever heard.
That is a question and a half. I would just start by saying there is only one way to get your foot in the door at the start.
Yeah, and it's never to be out of the room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, never ever be out of the room. I feel like I was very lucky. I feel like I've not stopped talking on this. My apologies. And after this question, I'll let everyone else talk. But I was real lucky that when I met Cal and he kind of first brought me in, like he would turn around to me and go, "Come to this show." I wouldn't have a client at the show. He'd like, "Just come," and I would come to the shows and I would just watch how he operates, watch how he moves through things, watch how everyone goes. I remember keeping before I knew any of these people, like keeping a real good eye on Tom Hames and on Martin, just seeing how they operated, particularly with you, Cal. Obviously, I was always around you. I traveled to shows, I go to Europe, I just sit and watch. And there's a real value. You can actually see the transitionary value, or transactionary value, if you want to call it that, in being at the shows, people knowing who you are, and then people knowing who they want to work with. Because you have to be a face. When you go to these shows, especially because all of your work is going to be 99.9% online. when you go to these shows and you're at the shows, whether you have a client or not, it's you're actually accessible. You're there. You're showing your capacity to be part of the process beyond just a check-in, beyond typing. And then obviously as you then go, excuse me, as you then move forward and you become more and more kind of like ingrained into the coaching process and you have a higher pool of quality athletes, you might find that your numbers go down, but your quality goes up. And then it's not necessarily about who pays, unless you're having to go to the States and stuff like that. You will have to sacrifice your financials in the earlier stages of your career, no matter where your competitors are. Like I know a load of trips to the States, which I paid for myself. All my trips to Europe I paid for myself. I actually only started asking athletes to cover the cost of trips this year.
Mm.
It's the first time I've ever done it, and I've been going back and forth to trips with clients for 3 or 4 years now. But it's only literally just now. So I would go to the shows. I would 100% be at the show, especially if they're UK based. If you have to get in your car or get in a train to be at a show, and you can either go home the next day or the following day. If you're not at the show, you're a prick. That's the way I look at it. If you have, and it doesn't matter. And even if even in our level, I live in Swindon, for example, right? Maidenhead is 40 minutes away.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if it was 4 hours away, if I can't get in my car and drive to the show to support the athlete for 4 or 5 hours, then I'm not actually doing my job.
Yeah.
Eventually you'll get to a point where you can kind of pick and choose and you can ask the athletes to help you be there because you understand how valuable it is to the outcome that you're there. And you'll find that the shows that you are at, the shows that you are present at, you are more successful in.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Every time.
100%. I remember the same thing when Cal first brought me in, and we had had one of the business days up in
Manchester.
Days up in Manchester. I remember standing there, and I remember Cal saying, "You have to pay your way to the top." In terms of you have to financially support yourself as a coach to go to these shows, to pay for things that athletes wouldn't necessarily pay for. And I think not long before that is when you'd had Mot-C come over and stay over, and he stayed at your house and for the week or 2 weeks, whatever, for the camp, and he got that pro card at the end of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you say it kind of stuck with me then that if you want at the end of the day, like there is going to be a lot of times where you are going to have to front up and pay out and go to the shows to support the athletes.
Yeah.
And I've done it this year. I've done it last year. Well, first trip abroad, going to Sweden. When I went to support Damien, like all of that was paid for. I sorted all of that and stuff. And like you've just got to do it. But as Ross said, you got to get your foot in the door. And the only way you're going to be there is actually being in the room.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I reckon I've probably got quite an interesting perspective on this as well, because obviously I'm other end of the world. But if I did what you boys do, like we wouldn't have been able to move out here because it would have been essential. I remember talking to Zach about this actually. It would have been basically, if I was a full-time pro coach, it would have been basically career suicide, because trying to meet people from the other side of the world, not seeing people at all, apart from for like 3 weeks of the world, just wouldn't have happened. Like, we had the Pro 12 shoot last week, didn't we, last weekend? And even that was like not the same not being there. And not just for not being in the pitch, but like not meeting people is not the same thing. And having to tell them, it's like, oh, sorry guys, like I can't make it this time. I'm going to have to send my bigger, better looking big brother instead. Just because he wants some
talking about Landon, you.
I was going to say.
Yeah, you lost me.
But it's been really interesting because like it's for me moving out here has been interesting because it's almost like being able to detach a little bit with not working with prep clients is actually quite a good thing with Gen Pop. But then when we do what you boys do, not a chance in the world. Like I think I've got 3 competitors this year, and they're all longer term clients. Like I wouldn't take on someone where I can't see him.
Yeah.
Even Alex, you've stood up and you've sent a fella to me, because you're
literally like over the last couple of weeks. Yeah.
I feel
that doesn't work.
I think that says a lot about you as a coach and your standards and your kind of what you built on, because the fact that you can see that and then you go, right, well, I'm going to be best served doubling down and really honing in on this type of client that I can deliver the absolute best service and value from and be the best coach possible. Like a lot of people in that situation will be like, I'm just going to take everything I can get. But you also know deep down, like maybe I can't give that individual client what they actually need from me. And in that situation, like making that call is big as well.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's actually made me a better coach.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Because it's building a connection just potentially on WhatsApp or just on a call. You've got to do that so much better because you can't do it in person.
Yeah.
But then it's, as I
Sure.
said, if it's the kind of person that needs to have something actually face to face, it's going to fall down.
Mm.
It's one of those like kind of like extended fingers of bodybuilding coaching. It's like the things that you do that are so far removed from the actual process itself. You know, like
Mm.
it's obviously like the going to the shows out of your own pocket is how it starts. But I remember I remember sitting in my apartment last year when I lived in the city, and I was like, and it was when Dan arrived. So the background, so I had Dan, an American men's physique athlete, come and live with me, basically, just come to my house and live with me and finish his prep out there. And I was sitting there and I remember being like, this is, in what other job would I do that? Because imagine I was like a marketing director and I had some assistant come out and just live in my gaff while we made Canva pictures. You know, like
Yeah.
it's this really, and then like even Yemi a couple of years beforehand, he didn't really have anywhere to go. So I was like, right, we got to get you sorted. So we got him an Airbnb, we got him somewhere to stay. So we finished his prep and he went pro at the end. You know, so it's like you kind of have to find you will definitely in the earlier stages before anyone gives a shit who you are. You know, and don't get me wrong, I still don't think many people give a shit who I am, and I kind of like that. But you'll kind of have to so it's like you kind of have to stand up before you can stand out. You know, that kind of way, especially as a
Mm.
bodybuilding coach, like you need to be able to kind of put yourself forward and like not do it for any other reason other than the athlete's benefit. And then you'll find that eventually the athletes talk about how you work for their benefit and it comes back around to you. But that's a fucking sick question, man. That's so good.
Yeah, good question.
It's a fucking class question. You know, like, don't break,
Yeah.
don't absolutely destroy your bank balance, but you will probably have to work on a little. You will probably have to fucking pinch some pennies for you to maintain, and it is maintaining an image to a certain extent. Like you've got to maintain this image that you are committed to being at the shows for your athletes. It's not just a check
Mm.
financial transaction for you, because one of the things that you'll find, think of it, any coach who you know, right? Any coach who we know, and Cal, you'll attest to this. Like, so all the coaches who are there every single show, every single week, always there, their retention is so much higher than their actual client retention,
Yeah.
because the results and your capacity to get somebody on stage, prepping somebody is fucking easy. It is. It's an easy thing to do. It's lower their food, increase their output, play with drugs. They will get lean.
Mm.
Coaching somebody is really hard.
Yeah.
Prepping and coaching are two different things. And for
Yeah.
you to be a really good, for you to prep somebody, you need to know how to diet somebody. But for you to coach somebody, you need to know how to behave with somebody, how to act around somebody, how to speak to somebody. And on a show day, that is when all of your ability to understand the athlete that you're working with comes together in one place. You know,
Mm.
Yeah.
that
It's
is
very different athlete to athlete as well. Like I've been at show days where clients have been fucking so laid back, they're not even keeping an eye on when they're supposed to be eating and stuff. And it's like, come on, you need to be on them. And then I've had other clients where it's fucking every 2 seconds, it's another question. When are we doing this? When are we doing that? And it's like, chill. But
the worst is when they keep getting up to piss and they don't actually need to piss. They just need something to do. They need to move.
yeah.
I'd put Hayden in his chair the other day. I was like, no,
Stop moving. I did a post a couple of weeks ago about the cost of being that guy backstage. That's a good one to read
Yeah,
if you
that was it. That was a great post. Yeah.
if you don't. But like I remember telling Ross this at the end of every year. I'll have a call with James Gibson who runs our accounts, and I don't try and pay. Zoe manages most of the stuff. I don't try and pay attention to any of the numbers. I just want to kind of do my thing, and as long as everything is sweet, then we're cool. And I remember James sat me down on the end of year review, and he basically presents a spreadsheet with like all the columns and what's going on. And he shows me a number. I'm like, fucking hell, that's pretty good, isn't it? I was like, profits, fucking pretty good. That I'm happy with that. And he goes, no. He goes, Carl, that's expenses. And I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I remember I had a call, I had a call with him with that, and he was like, decent year. I was like, sweet. He was like, 70% of all your expenses were spent
Yeah.
on flights. I was like, what?
So
sitting there wondering how I'm gonna get another bag of rice and fucking spend.
yeah,
Thousands.
yeah, like it's one of those things. Like take home point is like you've got to get your foot in the door by being that guy, and you've got to let your passion guide you for many years at the start. And once you do that, you will stand out from the rest of the pack for the right reasons, and you'll have built such a strong connection with your audience, your clients, your demographic. But longer term, it comes at a cost, and longer term, in 5-10 years time, there will be a point where decisions are made slightly differently or things just are managed differently just because of the position you put yourself in after that amount of time of hard work. And you'll get to a point where clients will respect that. and they'll be in a position where it's like they'll understand if you can't go, or they'll be like, look, I really want you there. You know, can I get you flights? Can I get you across? Like that will start happening the longer you do this, just because of the perception of how much they value your time and how much they value your help. And you've just got to let that happen naturally. But at the start, like I said, like everyone on this call, everyone on the team, I know, you know, Zach is testament to this. Like you've just got to differentiate yourself, and your point of difference is just your passion for what you do and just the ability to go the extra mile, because it goes such a long way, such a long way.
I think there's something to be said also for how much money it is.
Yeah.
Oh, mate,
It's like
it's so fucking expensive. Like,
I've had trips to Europe that cost nothing. Like I've literally paid like $50 for flights sometimes. But then I've also had clients where it's like they expect me to pay £700 on flights to America, and it's like, no, like well, in that case, I haven't made any money on you at all for a
Yeah.
year. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
so there's
that was the. I remember James came to me the same day. He said the expenses thing. This is how much has come in from actual clients. He's like, and this is how much you've spent on expenses on flights for these clients, and it was significantly higher, like significantly higher. I was like, this is crazy. It was just too much. But it is the contrast of it. Like, for example, I flew to Alicante, done 5 days in Alicante, 4 days in Alicante, and then came home. And outside of like normal, like, you know, normal expenses, including food and stuff like that, I probably spent flights, everything included, probably 400 or 500 quid.
yeah.
I went to Ireland, where I'm from, like, which is a 35-minute flight away, for 2 days, and spent 1,100 quid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's outrageous how it can change. It
Yeah.
didn't help. The coaches' passes in Ireland were 400 quid. That didn't help. You know, but I paid that out of my own pocket. So it's like it's something that you'll have to, as you get better at it and as you kind of advance in your career. One, like Cal said, your athletes will just become more receptive of the fact that you can't just spend all of your own money to get there. I think when you're working with athletes, if you're in the earlier stages of your coaching career and your athletes are thus in the early stages of their developmental career, their understanding of what you should and shouldn't do is limited as well, as is yours. So you may be more willing to spend your own money to get to this guy's show, despite the fact that they don't understand that it's kind of their job to help you get there if they really want you there. But there will be a transition to the point where, because, for example, myself, Cal, Zach, one of the things that we're kind of known for is being at the shows, which is an amazing thing to be known for. But equally, if that becomes an expectation of everyone, you know, it becomes an expectation of your pocket. And you can only allow that to kind of go on for so long before you need to put your value as a coach, as an authority, as somebody who can get somebody to where they need to be. You need to put that over the fact that maybe they need to understand that, respect that, and help me get there if they want that value in person.
Yeah, I say like some people will understand it more. Like from my side as a coach, like I completely understand all of this. And when I asked Zach to come to Alicante, I covered everything. I covered his flights, his Airbnb, his ticket for the show, because I know that that's an expense for him. So you'll have some that will have that understanding and will offer to pay for things. But then you'll have some, as you say, that haven't got a clue, and you end up spending every penny of the journey at the end of the day, don't you?
Mumsy.
Oh, God, Manzi.
What a guy.
I think it's also the best part of the coaching is going to those shows.
Oh, man.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the climax of,
It's
you know, you've onboarded this client, you've worked together, you've prepped them, and
Yeah,
you go to the show. Like it's the climax, it's the highlight of the entire thing.
it is.
Like I had Craig win his pro card the other day, and that was nice. I was at a wedding, so it was like we were celebrating already, but it's different being there in person. It's totally different when people win. And just
Euphoric.
yeah, it's the best part of coaching is going to shows. I think I went 12 times last year as well.
Yeah. Yeah. How's everyone doing for time? Should we nearly closure? Because you probably have stuff to do.
Do we do one more question?
Let's do one more. Make it a good one.
I have a load of questions at the back end as well, so we can always do another podcast last week.
Yeah, we'll do another next week. There's a fertility one, but I want to save it for the next podcast so we could actually do maybe a fertility special. Talk about my balls.
Listen to Emil's ears prick up there, did you? What about Callum's balls?
I was more so thinking of my super draw baby.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
it's your yoked out daughter at like 7, just being
Yeah. That girl was made on everything.
I'm trying to think.
sure all Haters kids, they were conceived when he was on cycle as well, weren't they?
Yeah, mate, Hader's body is just built different. It's crazy. This is kind of interesting one because Emil will be in the same boat here. Less so because I'm not competing, but I guess similar. Does being a dad now change anything with risk management with your own goals?
It's an interesting question given the situation, Emil.
I think
Super Joe and 1,000 milligrams of test.
I think it does. I've noticed other things change, like so I've never been good with heights, but that's gotten like 10 times worse since having my daughter. And just you think more about, when you're driving and all of those things. And in terms of bodybuilding and risk assessment there, yes, it's definitely something I've thought a lot more about. You've become more aware. You've always been aware that like, oh, something might happen, might one day I might actually do damage from doing this. I think that those thoughts take a higher place, if you can say that. But I've still pushed since having her, because it's still what I do. And I do my blood work, I do my heart scans and all that, and everything has been good. But also knowing like I want to have more kids, it's still something I think about. Now I think it would be different. Let's say I had struggled as you have, Callum, with conceiving. I think I would probably be much more mindful of it because I was like, I made Camilla pregnant on full cycle, like peak prep. I was on everything that you could possibly take at that point. So like that might have changed because that was 3 years ago, but it's not as much of a concern to me. And when I started bodybuilding, that was actually my greatest concern. It was the fertility aspect of it.
Mm.
It's become mine. It wasn't until about 5 months ago.
Yeah.
Now it's probably something I think about every single day.
More mindful of it.
Yeah. Since Ronnie was born.
Yeah.
Literally, since Ronnie was born, I was like, I want one of them.
I want one of those.
I really do. I really do. I'm in full dad mode, man.
Yeah, it just becomes more tangible, I think. And, like Emil said, realistically, like there's nothing stopping you. There's nothing stopping you, shouldn't be stopping you doing that and pursuing your goals. But I would say even more so when saying the stakes are higher is a poor way of looking at it, but it is kind of a way of looking at it. You're in a position where you've got to be even more stringent and strict on looking at what's going on underneath the hood more consistently, getting regular blood work, testing. And at the point in which any of those things start to move in a direction that is not favorable, that will probably be a point where you'll stop and you're done, just because maybe 5 years ago you might have seen that blood work or that ECG or whatever it might be, and you're like, well, I've got 2 years in me, I've got 3 years in me maybe before it gets bad. At the point in which there's a 5% deviation from good now, you're probably like, this is a wrap, this is job done, because it's not worth the risk. And that's what I think, it shouldn't be stopping you pursuing your goals, but it should make you a lot more mindful of how fragile that can be and testing it to be in a position consistently where you're in control at all times.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It might go against the general grain of things now, but if you're really concerned about it, run HCG and HMG alongside your stack.
Yeah.
And do it from the moment that you start.
Yeah.
It's not the best way of going about it. It's polypharmacy, but it will help you maintain your fertility.
Yeah. Yeah. Alex, particularly poignant for what's about to come ahead. Advice on someone changing career from mechanics to PT online coach. What's about to launch out, Alex?
Oh, well, now you mention it. We have the biggest ICM launch ever coming up next week.
Yes, sir.
We should have said this at the start, but yeah, next week we have a big launch, and then 2 weeks after that we have an even bigger launch. So we are launching mentoring and a brand new course. It's very exciting. What was the question? So best piece of advice from mechanic to online coach.
Yeah.
Start on the gym floor.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's someone going from a job that's completely out of the industry and then trying to build a living working online, which is not going to work. So find a job in a commercial gym, get as many clients as possible that you don't charge much money for, but just get hours under your belt, and then everything else will start to happen.
And
that's always my biggest advice, because it's actually one of the interesting things we find with coaches coming through the ICM is, and it's a bit sad, I shouldn't laugh, but it's how unhappy a lot of online coaches are, because they miss like the PT days because they've done that transition across. They've done the whole business mentor route of get off the gym floor, look at all this freedom, and then they go, oh, I don't like sitting in my office all day on my own. So get your almost like earn your stripes beforehand, get on the gym floor, do a good few years there, and then the rest will follow.
Yeah, it's a lonely old game at times. It's weird.
Yeah, it is.
You're doing nothing but talking to people all day, but you're doing nothing but being on your own most of the time. You know,
exactly.
Contrast.
Exactly. It's actually the job that most people don't want. We've all made the choice to do it, but most people actually don't realize that to start with. So, yeah. And especially if he's a mechanic, he's an active dude. Like, he's going to want to do all the hours on the gym floor, so take full toll of that.
Don't use a wrench on your clients.
Only on some of them.
Yeah. 11th of August is official launch. You'll be seeing next couple of weeks more kind of announcements and posts on what's coming, but it's very, very cool. And the new logo is sick.
I see.
Our
It's gonna be really
graphic
cool.
designer fucking hates us right now.
Yeah, literally five tasks a day for the last like 3 weeks.
No, it's what it is. You'll always finish one, and they'll be like, "Sweet, we're all done," and you'll be like, "Just one other thing."
Yeah,
and it's always Cal. We're going to be doing a free webinar as well. But
look at Landon's dog, man. He's so cute.
Les is growing, man.
Les is the cute.
Massive now, isn't
Huge.
Look at his big. Look at his little.
How old is he? Is he
18 months, 19 months?
Oh.
Has he been snipped yet?
Nah, you're gonna get
No.
him.
Good lad. Let those balls hang, brother. Let those balls hang.
He's about to start shagging Landon because
he's already started.
He's not. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to because he's not humped once. Anything.
Well, we can sort.
Well, you gotta get
it. It will come.
You got one of those homo dogs. Your dog doesn't bag; he just goes, "Hey,
hey,
oh, hi." So you are. He's not up to anything, but you might be in for a deal right now if you look at his.
Gay dogs are so in right now.
Right, boys, it's a pleasure. Anybody that is interested in what's coming with the new drop and the new rebuild for the ICM, we are going to be going live on the 11th of August for the first launch of the new course and the new platform. It's on a completely new platform and structure, completely refreshed and relaunched. And then 2 weeks after, we are going to be launching the mentoring. I won't say the name of it yet, but you'll see it soon. Thank you for your time, boys. Everyone, that was really good. There's a lot of value in that, and I'll pop that up probably today, and then pop Landon's podcast up.
Wait.
Up on...
We've got to get one thing in before.
Let me do a picture.
There he is.
Screenshot. Very cool.
That's the thumbnail.
That's the thumbnail. Yeah. Lovely. Right, boys. Have a good day. We'll speak soon.
All right.
Awesome.
Guys.
Let's look.
Right.